Okay, so what is financial freedom? Because it varies just like all the different people of the world, right? Everybody has their different definitions of what freedom is to them, specifically financial freedom. But I'm going to break down what I think is financial freedom, not just based on my own experience, but what I've witnessed in hundreds of our other clients as well, who have actually gone on, in many cases, to achieve financial freedom for themselves. And it's not what you might think it is. So tune in to find out what makes that different. So let's talk about financial freedom. Now, financial freedom, many people make it synonymous with financial independence and all these kind of things. And I'll just say this. I think there's financial independence, I think there's financial freedom, and they're not the same. So for example, financial independence, that's kind of like what my shirt says, right? You know, I love passive income. When I have passive income that exceeds my monthly expenses, at least meets or exceeds those monthly expenses that I pay for out of my house, then I'm financially independent because I know that if I stop working, my investments, my passive income from my investments is still going to be able to pay for my cost of living. Now, I don't think that's financial freedom because that's just getting by. But what if you want true freedom? And this is where it can vary a little bit. But for me, financial freedom is this, is when money is no longer the reason or the excuse that I do or do not do anything. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is this, is that financial independence is a number. Financial freedom is an emotion. It's a state of being or a state of mind. It's something that's more here than it is just here, right? I'm pointing my pocket in case you couldn't see that in the camera. But it's so much more than just the money. It's about how you feel about your situation. Freedom is a feeling. It's not a situation or condition that somebody else gives to you. Because I'll tell you, from my own experience, both from my own personal experience and from some of my clients' experience as well, I've seen many of them become not just financially independent, but then make thousands of dollars more a month to where you would think they'd be financially free, but then they say, I don't feel any more free. Even when they became financially independent, they're like, I don't feel any different. Well, no, it doesn't make you any different. You're still the same person. But what it's supposed to do, right, if you have that financial independence, if you have financial freedom, you realize that money's no longer dictating your life. It's no longer driving whether you do this or do that, whether you buy this or buy that. For some people, they're just looking for independence. They're just like, if I could just pay bills and not stress out, if I knew that my bills were always paid for, I'd be happy. But what happens when they get there? They get there, they say, well, what if it's not enough? What if I need more? Or what if I want to do more things in my life? Well, that's where freedom comes in. And so freedom is a state when it comes to your bank account to some degree. But much more importantly, I've seen too many people that have lots of money coming in, millions of dollars coming in even, and then still feel like there's not enough money. That's where you have to work on that scarcity emotion. Those scarcity emotions of fear, doubt, worry, feeling like there's never enough time, never enough money, never enough love in the world, all that kind of stuff, right? Those are the feelings of scarcity. You have to switch to a mindset of abundance to truly feel financially free. Now, yes, I agree. Like you can set a number to it to help with this, right? Beyond your financial independence, you might say, if I just had an extra few $1,000s a month, that's more than enough to budget the lifestyle that I want. That's great. Now, for some people, it might be double. They might say, well, I need $10,000 a month to be able to live, but I want $20,000 a month to be free. Cool. That's a great number too. But just remember this, is that even if you hit those numbers, you also have to work on this too. You got to work on your mindset. You got to work on how you feel in the situation. In fact, it's actually easier to become free while you're becoming free. I know that doesn't seem like it makes sense, but this is what I mean by that. Even as you're creeping up, as you're starting to gain more and more passive income as time goes on, it's easier to become free if you practice that abundance mentality even while it's growing. Celebrate your wins along the way. Don't think about how it's not enough. Actually say, oh my goodness, I just got the first $500 of passive income. This is awesome. That's like a car payment. Hey, I just got the $2,000 or $3,000 of passive income. That's like a house payment. This is great. Hey, I just got to $5,000, $10,000, whatever their number is, right? Celebrate your wins along the way. Focus on the fact that it's growing all the time. Ideally, it's growing all the time. I have seen many situations, especially in the last few years, where people that I wasn't, that we talked about working with us, coaching with us, didn't. And then they came back saying, yeah, I've lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's been rough. Like I didn't lose everything, but I lost a lot. And so, yeah, for those people, they might go back. But typically speaking, at least with our clients, we watch it go up. It creeps up over time. It may not go up in a straight line. Sometimes it goes up and then plateaus, and then it goes up and plateaus. Maybe it dips a little and comes back up and so on. But it typically goes in that upward trajectory, even compared to the long term and short term too. And so when you focus on those wins, you start to feel more grateful, more abundant, and then by the time you actually get to that freedom, you're already happy. you already know that you have something that most people in this world, let alone America, but especially in the world, never ever get to experience. A type of freedom that hardly anyone gets to achieve or experience in their entire lifetime. You get to have that. I remember one thing that impacted me a lot. You've probably heard me talk about my dad in many occasions. Now, my dad, he lived longer than he expected. Let's be honest. He lived longer than all of us expected. Okay, we all thought he'd be dead by 70. He's now 80 years old. As you know, like I met with him as a financial advisor 20 years ago. He was 61, he was trying to retire, and even though he was debt-free and saved all that money, he still wasn't free. So he had to work into his 70s. Now, he worked hard, he kept doing it until he couldn't work anymore, until he was pretty much forced into retirement through health as well as work reasons. And for him, he's just been stretching out those dollars. Now, understand, as I was growing up as a kid, man, we go on vacations. We did some fun stuff as kids. A lot of times spent fishing, usually in his favorite spots. Usually he's going back to his hometown of Tillamook, Oregon, which was just an hour and a half away from where I grew up. But here's the thing, guys, is that we didn't really go on these big trips or anything. I never went to Hawaii until I was 40 years old. I know some of my kids have been to Hawaii like 4 or 5 times before they even turned 18. That's incredible. And so when you think about that, I remember telling my dad, I was just talking about some business trips I did, and even how we had another trip where, I was able to go on vacation and do some stuff. And he said, Chris, I just don't understand your life. That was not even a possibility for me when I was working hard and raising you kids. I was just trying to make enough to finally just provide a decent lifestyle, at least a middle-class life for you guys. And he's right. I'd taken that so much for granted. I'd never appreciated it so much. So I even didn't have the full appreciation of my financial freedom. And that's one thing you've got to be aware of, is make sure you're grateful along the way. All right, so let's talk about how do you actually get there. Now, I mentioned being grateful along the way. That is essential. Fostering that abundance mindset is very important. By the way, I've got a great podcast, episodes, 3 episodes in a row, that's on this channel here, the Money Ripples channel. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, because there are some great podcasts we release every week. Some of them we talk about stewardship. Stewardship is the only mindset that leads to more abundance, versus the spender is living in scarcity, and the saver also lives in scarcity. That's why we don't want you to listen to Dave Ramsey and go into more scarcity. That's how you become not free. And how do I know? Because many of his poster children, his graduates, the people that are like the people he would make as like the prime example of freedom, they come to me and say, I'm not free. Although I've got a couple $1 million of net worth and I'm debt free, I'm not financially free. I don't have that passive income to be able to be financially free. So what do you do to get that passive income? This is where you got to set aside all the typical stuff you learn from a financial advisor, who themselves can't retire or be financially free either, unless they were, especially if their business were to go under, they would be just as broke as everybody else. And so you got to look for those people that actually have done it. Now, I had to do it twice. I will tell you, the first time I became financially independent, but it took me till the second time to become financially free. I wasn't really financially free when I got there the first time. I was still dictated by money. Now, sometimes I blew money in very irresponsible ways, or invested in things that were not good to invest in. And that's what, unfortunately, that's what I find a lot of times happens with some of us that were in our 20s. I made those mistakes in my late 20s, and they caught up to me in my 30s, and I had to build my way back up by the time I was 39. And since then, became more wiser for it. And so find those mentors, find those people that you can actually model after. Those that have been there, they've done it, and they're still doing it today. Find those people that are free. Don't just find people that make good income. Just so you know, people that make good income don't know how to necessarily grow their wealth, and people that make good income don't necessarily feel financially free, because I'll tell you, we get a lot of those clients that do make good income, and then they still tell us, I feel like I'm trapped. I feel like I'm stuck. If I don't keep working, I can't support my kind of lifestyle. So they know that they're not free. The way to get free is when you have multiple streams of income coming in outside your main source of income. That happens, especially the safer way to go is typically doing it with real estate investing, not where you're actively being the one trying to be a slave to real estate investments, but actually being a passive investor in it, where you have other investors do it too. And that requires you to find the right people, finding the right deals. And that took me many, many years to do that. And that's why many of our clients will hire us to help them, even in some cases, borrow our network to say, can we look at examples from the people you've worked with too? And so there's a lot of options you can do that way. But again, you could do it on your own. You can spend the next several years trying to create that so you can create your own freedom. But hey, if you want to shortcut that, like I said, I recommend diving deeper into this, of course. I would also recommend this. If you've got money and you're wondering how to become financially free, go to moneyripples.com and try this passive income calculator. This calculator, if you put in your numbers and you actually put them in accurately and fully and completely, you'll find out just how much passive income you could create in the next 12 months. And the great thing is you create that passive income to start paying you, then you can take that passive income to start building and compounding your income so you become more free faster. That's where you can actually love that passive income. So go ahead and do that today.